I don't know if anybody else does the same thing that I do. You go live, you hit the go live button. The first thing you say is anyone going to join me? It's always a question because, especially with me, because I do the impromptu. So it always happens that way for me. So I'm always asking the question, is anyone really going to join me? And sure enough, they do. I appreciate my family members. I really do. Shalom, good vibes. Good to see you here, sweetheart. Shalom, shalom, shalom. I'm trying to pull up the video so that I can actually go through the chats. Shalom, Pamela Montgomery and Carly Follows the Messiah. Shalom, shalom. It's so good to be live with you guys today. And Leslie Workington, shalom, shalom. There I am. I wanted to make sure that I could catch the scrolling comments when they come through. Shalom, old McMonald's Farmstead. Is it McMonald or McMoney? I'm sorry, it's old McMoney's Farmstead. Hello, shalom, shalom. Jamie Skirvin, Golden Gold. I wonder why. Okay, so good vibes. You say you don't know if you can see my messages. I'm seeing them. I'm seeing them fine right now. You say because they have been removing your comments from my page and Gates of Holda's page. Oh, thank you. You say my teachings have been fired. Thank you so very much. I really just appreciate you guys. I really do. So, Shalom, Sue Ace. Shalom, shalom, sweetheart. It's good to see you here. And who else did I miss? Yahari Ortiz. Shalom, shalom. So, did you guys get the title? How many of you in the chat are in this situation? What situation? What do you do when your spouse, your partner, is not interested in prepping? What do you do? So, are any of you guys facing that? I had a family member comment and actually pose that question. Shalom, Shanique, swimmer, shalom, shalom. And that person, hopefully you don't mind me mentioning your name, is his helper, which I think that the name is a good name, especially for the title of this video. You didn't say that you wanted to remain anonymous. And, let me talk about that a little bit. For you family members who are so beautiful and so kind to send me gifts and such, I want to say this. I will keep you anonymous if that's your wish. I will try my best to do that if that is your wish. And I will and I've done that. You hear me do it quite often when I'll say, I just want to say thank you to all of you who have, just blessed me so much with either love gifts or physical gifts. What, you see fit to send our way. I want to say thank you very much. We did have one that said that she didn't want to, just not too long ago, she said she didn't want or need for us to talk about what she did, but it was a beautiful gesture, and I thought I would like to mention it. I won't mention who you are, but I'll mention what you did. Do you guys remember back when I was saying that I'd gone to the supermarket, the grocery store, and we could not find my husband, Mr. C. He enjoys those little fruit pies, the little Debbie's and what have you, fruit pies, right? And our stores don't carry them. We have not been able to find them anywhere. Our stores just don't carry them. And we have here a that we frequent is our Food for Less, which is also known as Kroger, and Walmart, and there's a Target, and I mean But we can't find those particular pies, or little fruit pies, little apple ones, and then they have the cherry ones. We weren't able to find them. Well, one of our beautiful family members heard me say that, had them in her location, and she boxed up a few of them and sent them our way. Now, my husband was in seventh heaven, because he was like, that is so beautiful that someone thought of us to do something like that. So she wanted to kind of remain anonymous, so I'll make sure that she does. But isn't that something? Isn't that how family is? I just love you guys. You guys are just so sweet and so beautiful and so loving. You're wonderful. And I appreciate each and every one of you. So, but if you do want to remain anonymous, I'll try my best to make sure that I don't mention your name. But in this particular case, this question was posed by his helper. Now, again, I find that name interesting, his helper. And I don't know if it's her spouse that she's talking about, but just think that if it was, she's his helper. I love that. And it could read that she is the Most High's helper. And we know that there's a hierarchy. So it's the Most High. And if she's married, it's her husband after that, right? So she would be his helper and his helper. So I love the name. Anyhow, what do you do when your spouse is not interested in prepping? And I'm going to try not to make this a long video. And here's what I want to do. I want to make this interactive, if you will. Okay. So what does that mean? That means I want you guys in the chat, because this is me, Mary C. family. We go through the comments. We read through them. We taught the talking points. We comment on comments. So, and we pick up tips from the comments. You guys are so great, because you always add to the pot before it all gets stirred up. You always add to the pot that I have on the stove. And I really appreciate you guys stepping up to the plate and helping me out with this. Because you know what? As I said beforehand, we're not on this journey alone. We're on this journey together. Okay? So we're here to help each other. So I want you guys to participate in answering answering this question, and also in adding tips into the chat, so that it will help a brother or it will help a sister out who is trying to work with a spouse who's not interested in prepping. Okay. Now, I'm gonna kind of switch and go back over to the comment section a little bit, just to make sure I can say hello to some of the family members again. Shalom, Nicole Fox. Shalom, Risha. I'll go real quick. Samoan Thompson. Shalom, shalom. Strawberry Fields, it's so good to see you here. Shalom, shalom. French Ministry. Shalom. It's good to see you here as well. So anyhow, if I've missed you, I love you. I love you. I'm not missing you on purpose. I just don't want to really keep you guys too long. And I promised that I would talk about this subject, because even though his helper was the one that posed this particular one, there have been others that have brought this up as well. So what are you guys saying out there? If you're on here, his helper, please join in on this. If you're not, I'm hoping that sometime along the way you will watch this, and it will help you if this is your situation. So you are saying, what are you saying out here? Thank you, Pamela Montgomery. Shalom to you, sweetheart. She says, please give the video a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. Give the video a thumbs up. Thanks so much. Okay, Simone Thompson says, it's not my spouse, it's family. I live alone, but my parents don't want to hear it, let alone the gospel. Okay, and we'll talk a little bit about that, what you can do. I like that, Sue A. You said you used to be in that situation, but you prayed for wisdom and guidance, and the Lord told you to show your husband George Washington's vision. I'm not familiar with that, but hey, you say after that he was a believer. Hallelujah. If it worked. And maybe you can share a little bit more about George Washington's vision. Okay, and old McConaughey's farmstead said, I've had to prep behind my husband's back for years. I insisted that we go camping as a family to use the gear without argument. Everything I bought we used during power outages and emergencies. So you know what? If they don't love you now, they'll love you later for the things that you stock up on and prep. Okay, that's a testimony right there. And God bless you all also. You guys are such a blessing to me. You really and truly are. So I thank you for that, Sue A. So, I'll give a little bit of a testimony of mine with the prepping, okay? A Reed, I'm in Jamaica and doing the best in the store, but the family don't believe. Yeah, many of us have been there. Many of us, including yours truly. I have been prepping for some time. And I'll tell you, my earlier years of prepping were not easy years for me. And I say years because it took Mr. C 9 years to get before he came on board to prepping. So I was asking him when the question came up, I was asking him, Mr. C, um, what made you change or change your mind? What caused a turnaround for you? Because I've been praying for him for some time. And he said to me, he started noticing things that were happening. But he said, when he started noticing, little things here and little things in the world that was going on, and mainly here in the United States, he said he went to prayer. And during his prayer, he asked, is there something that I should be doing? Is should I be preparing? That was his question. Should I be preparing? And he just kind of got the urge to do things. I think that's how it started for him. He got the urge to do things. Like, for example, um, starting a fire. It became a passion of his on going out and seeing if he could start a fire with little to nothing, if you will. The survival type of way of starting fires. And he would go out and he would do those things. And it was a challenge to him. So then he got interested in going out and viewing other folks on YouTube on starting fires and then surviving certain events or circumstances. And one day I said to him, and and putting tents together and building shelters, I should say, not putting tents together, but building shelters. Shalom, Eve, new beginning. Shalom, shalom, sweetheart. It's so good to see you here. So he began to be interested in putting shelters together and doing other things that I wasn't really, I hadn't gone that far, right? I was doing more of the, putting food to the side and the canning part and doing things like that. But he and picking up first aid supplies and I was doing that. He had jumped in head first in a different direction, right? So he started doing, and he was excited about it, right? He was really excited about it. And with putting shelters together, he got into tying. Now he's a old Navy man, okay? So he's a vet. He's an old Navy man, and so he got into tying these knots. Different ways of tying things off. for emergency situations and what have you. You guys have seen I don't have it on right now, but you've seen my bracelet that he made of paracord. That is an emergency rope that the bracelet unravels and it becomes an emergency rope. It's like 6 feet of emergency rope in the event that something happens and we need to be able to haul something or pull something out or what have you. And so he got into tying knots and different things. So my prayers were answered. He jumped on board after that prayer. And I kind of said to him before he realized what he was doing, because he didn't at this point realize that that's his prayer had been answered. And I said to him, honey, I said, you do realize that the Most High is prepping you in a different way to be ready for what's coming than he is me. You're being used to, you're going to be used in the future to be able to help other people in this area, in these areas that you picked up and you're excited about it and you have a passion for these things. You will eventually be able to help others with this. So the Most High is going to use you. And he got excited about it. He really did. But it took him 9 years. Now, let me tell you, in that 9-year time frame, what do you do when you have, I'm going to go back to the beginning and the basics. What do you do when you have a spouse who is not interested in prepping and you are seeing the signs all around you and you know it's something that's very important that you need to do? What do you do with that spouse? Well, one of the first things that I'm going to say is if you love your spouse, you don't divorce them because you have a difference of opinions. Okay, that's not something that is an option. Not where I'm sitting at. Okay, not an option. You love on them. But one of the things I would say is to try to, and I think this is probably one of the major ones and main ones, is to try and discuss current events with your spouse, the things that are happening in your neck of the woods, the things that are happening in your country, the things that are happening around the world that will affect your family's survival, right? So that's like one of the first things. If you're sitting at the dinner table, you can, talk about, well, honey, have you seen the shortages that they're talking about? You go to the grocery store. Have you noticed that the canned meat, there's not as much canned meat on the shelves as there were like 6 months ago? You can talk about the rising prices of the food, and you can talk about the restrictions that we've had to deal with because of weather due to storms and and such. You can talk about like one of the family members said that when they had, I believe you said it was power outage or something like that, you were able to use your preps that you had stored up. So, you want to talk about the, current events, things that are going on. You want to talk about, like, especially if you're just starting, one of the other talking points would be the issues that the farmers have had, especially in the United States. Actually, it's farming all over the world. Been hit really hard. The farmers, and then the trucking industry is being hit really hard right now. I shared with you guys on the community chat. The one trucker that was talking about trucking is trash right now. It's just going down. It's just going down. And these guys make a living doing that, and they're trying to give the rest of us warning of what's going on in their industry. What's going on in their industry affects us, our food, our supplies. It affects us. So, shalom, Grammy. Yeah, so good to see you, sweetie. So if you can talk about the supply issues, and where we have a shortage of truckers or drivers, there's going to be delays in getting some of the produce or products, supplies that we're normally used to getting. You're going to start noticing places like Amazon. We've gotten so conditioned by them of being able to get a quick turnaround on any products for the most part that we are looking for. I believe we're going to get to the point. So you heard it here first, maybe. I don't know. Maybe someone else has said it, but I have not heard it. But there's going to come a time where they're not going to be able to promise that quick turnaround any longer, because of these issues that we're facing with the truckers and not being able to get to supplies. Not to mention what's going on overseas. That's also got a lot to do with it too. The war, and then China with their lockdown and factory issues and supply issues. So it's going to, our convenience of getting things overnight or the next day, or 2 days, is probably going to stop. I don't know when, but I can see that being a thing of the past. I don't know how you guys feel about that. Yeah, good vibes. You say you could believe that, huh? What's not true? Sue A, tell me, did I say something you think is not true? Or is that something that's going on in the chat? Strawberry Field says, God bless our husbands. Sometimes they just need a little encouragement and patience, and that's the truth. And Nicole Fox, Shalom, you say, I've been blessed to find your channel. At times I feel alone with preparing for what is to come. My spouse is not fully on board spiritually. We have stocked up on food and our garden. Well, you know what? I'll say this. It's a blessing that he is on board to help with the stocking up on the food. Just keep praying for him, and eventually the spiritual part will come on, will happen as well. So, never give up, never give in. That's what I'll say. Keep praying for him. Okay, it's about George Washington that you're saying that's not true. Okay, got you. I think that's what I'm finding. So, okay. I was gonna say, did I say something you heard? No, did I say something that wasn't true? I hope not. You guys have to keep me on point here. You know that. Yes, we do. Angela Loving. Shalom, shalom. I love your name, Angela Loving. Um, you say we serve an unlimitless God. He is so good. He is, isn't he? He is very good. Shalom, sweetheart Terry Ann. Shalom, shalom. We're praying for all of our spouses, all of our spouses. Okay, thank you, Sue A. I see that you weren't talking about me. Thank you. Okay, so Kathy Cooper, you say you're in the same situation, but your husband refuses to even discuss current events. So what do you do? Well, if your husband refuses to discuss current events, don't discuss current events. And wait for him to talk about different things that are going on in the world. If he never mentions anything, my husband and I, for those 9 years, I'm gonna lay it on the line and be honest about it. If I had a question about equipment, or if I had a question about whether or not, because a lot of my information during those 9 years came from the internet. It came from listening to other people like me. Okay, but they were men mostly. And a lot of times they would suggest, oh, you need to get this, that, or the other. And it certainly would have been very nice to be able to bounce that off of my husband to see if that was really something that we needed, or if it was something that I would be able to use, or you know what I'm saying. And I didn't have that. I didn't have that. He never said to me, "Don't discuss it," but it wasn't something that he really wanted to discuss. I'll put it that way. So he didn't want to go in that direction, so I never made him go in that direction. I didn't do that. So what I would do, so I started out with number one, and that was to try to discuss the current events. If you can't do it that way, then I'm going to go to my number two, which is love on them. Okay, love on them. Talk to your family about what would happen if you didn't have electricity. Just talk about, you know, do we have a plan in place, honey? If the lights go out for 3 days, what should we do? Do you have some thoughts on that? Do you think we should invest in what are those things called? Help me, family. A generator. Do you think we should invest in a generator? Uh, what do you think? You think I should take out a couple of dollars and go get candles and what are your thoughts on this? Thank you, Angela. Yeah, generator. So words escape me sometimes, but they come sometimes too. They come back to me sometimes as well. So just love on them and talk lovingly about your family and what you in your family can do to ensure your survival. And so you're kind of talking in a non-prepping way, but it's prepping. And you can say if you went out and saw one of the things that I used to do. You've heard me say this beforehand. I am frugal. I'm not cheap because I like good stuff, but I am frugal. Okay. And so if it were candles, let's say, I would wait until I found candles that went on sale and I could get this great deal with them. Okay, so I'm a deal person. I'm looking for deals. Any way that I can save money and help my family to move forward, I'm for it. And so I would bring things like that to my husband. And I would say, you know what? I was out such and such and such, because he didn't mind those kind of conversations. I was out and I found such and such and such. I found candles. And you're not going to believe how much I paid for these candles, because, candles normally cost about $4 or $5 if you get the big glass jars. $4 or $5 for those guys. I got them for 50 cents. And he would get excited with me because I'm saving money, right? But that's prepping, right? And I'd get those and put them to the side. And I was able to do it that way. Or I would go to the grocery store. And if they had a sale on particular, let's say they had a sale on corn that week when I was at the grocery store, instead of it being 50 cents, I'm just throwing the price out there. Instead of it being 50 cents, I was able to get them for 15. So I would get extra, right? So I would get enough for the household, but then I would get extra and have those, and I put those to the side. He would not question the extra because I was saving money. So does that make sense, family? Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. I'm hearing from you. Okay, absolutely, Angela. Thank you. Thank you. And Sharika says yes, amen. Okay. And Pamela, okay, you guys are talking about generators. Good, good, good. And I am awake. Shalom, shalom. It's good to see you here. You say, my husband will prepare, but he won't really discuss it. And that's fine. I found ways around it. I found ways to work around it, but in a loving way. So if you can find ways to work around that discussion, if they don't like the idea of you talking about prepping, make it into a conversation about your family, your family's needs. Make it into a conversation that's not so prepping, that doesn't have a prepping, I guess you could say, narrative so much about it. do it in a way that my husband was impressed, I think, with me because of I was saving money. uh, Grandma Yah says my husband gave me the green light to do whatever I needed to do for the family, but when he have to move the stuff, that's when he shakes his head like, really? But he's the man, of course, really. Oh, that's pretty good. And you know what? One of the things that I have on my list, okay? I said I said the first one was to try to discuss current events, right? Things that are happening around the world that will affect whether or not you guys survive, right? Um, if you're not prepping. And then the second one I said is to love on them, right? To talk about family things and how you can save money and all of that other good stuff. Um, the third one that I want to mention is to for you to start it. If the spouse is not interested, you do it. Okay. If the spouse is not interested in you prepping, you do it. Start it yourself. I did it. So many of us out there have done the same thing. Start it yourself, even if it's one can of chili. Start it yourself. And I'm going to say, when you do it, to just be honest and truthful. That's important. Be honest and truthful. Don't I don't want to step on any toes. I really don't want to step on any toes. But my husband and I, we have this honesty policy between us. I don't know how you guys are, but I think it's best to be honest about what you're doing and not hide it from your spouse if you don't have to. Um, Maybe not call it prepping. Just say that you're trying to make sure that your family is taken care of. Okay. But I would be truthful about what you're doing. My husband didn't stop me from prepping. He just wasn't interested in it. He says he didn't think that I was, he didn't go to the point where he thought I was nuts or crazy or anything like that. He just didn't feel the need for putting things to the side. He didn't feel that there was a need to do that until he started seeing events. He started seeing things. But it took him 9 years to get on board. 9 years of praying, 9 years of prepping. Okay. And so a lot of that I did on my own without discussions. And so when he did jump on board, it was something else. It was amazing because it when he finally jumped on board, it happened so fast. It happened so fast that I was having a hard time trying to keep up with him because every other day he was coming to me and he was saying, "Oh, I went out and I found out about this, that, and the other, and I think we need to do this. What do you think?" And I'd just smile at him. I'd go to where I had some of the stuff, put away, and I'd bring it out and I'd show it to him. And I said, "Well, what do you think about this? I bought this back such and such a time." And he said, "Oh, well, I guess we don't need those then." So he would get excited about something that he thought we would need. Well, doggone it, if I hadn't already bought it, a year before, a few years back, I had already gotten those things that he was interested in us obtaining. So it worked out really, really well. But then there were also things that I bought, and again, I didn't have the conversation with him because he didn't want it back then. Um, but I bought some things that he he was better at understanding how some of the mechanical stuff works. So the things that I bought, he was able to say, you know what, we can use those things, we'll put them to the side, but there's some better ones that I think we need. And so he was able to look at one day we just said, you know what, let's just take out what we have and let's look at it and let's see what we have. Because, he would, like I said, every other day he was coming and saying, well, what about this? And what about that? And a good portion of it we already had because, Mary C had already started stocking up on things, right? And so once we did look at everything, he was able to go through and the things that we needed to upgrade or update, he was able to help in that process of the upgrade and the update. So don't give up on your spouses, but be truthful. He didn't want to discuss those things, and so he didn't know what we had. He didn't know what I had done. He knew what I was doing, but he didn't know what I had done. There were a few things that I brought to his attention and said, hey, look at this. I was able to save a whole bunch of money to do this, but he didn't know the extent of what I had been doing. Okay, so be as truthful as you can in your prepping and your plans to prep. Don't take away from the household. This is my suggestion, but don't take away from the household if you can avoid it. Because if you already have a spouse who is not really wanting you to do that, if you take away from the norm, that could shake things up and could possibly cause some type of a argument or something like that. So you don't really want to take away. When I say take away from the household, find ways that you can work around what you have set up between you as a budget, if you will. And see, that's my fourth one is budget, budget, budget. When you're prepping, if you do a little here and a little there, you can budget it to the point where you can hardly see where the extras are coming from. You can put it into your budget in a way that you're not really spending a whole lot extra. If you're like me, if you're frugal, okay? So it's not extra, but in the long run, it's going to do you good. It's going to be good for the family. I'm just going through and looking at some of the comments. Yes, you said Nicole Fox says, "Bless your heart, Mary C. 9 years is a good amount of time. It certainly is. It was a long time. And then when he came on board, like I said, he came on so quickly. I had a hard time trying to keep up with him." Okay, Angela Loving says, "My hubby preps, but he goes overboard. LOL. Is there such a thing?" Terry Ann says, "I use one bedroom for emergency preps and another room for my canning supplies." And the same thing with me. I have prep stuff just about all over the place. Okay, it just is what it is. Because I'm going to go back to, if you do a little at a time, a little goes a long way. You hear people say that all the time, but that's the truth. A little goes a long way. So you start small, and if you're on here today and you have not started prepping, but you're on the road to saying to yourself, I need to begin prepping. I need to start doing something for my family. It's not too late. I'm saying it's not too late. I know some people have said it is, but it isn't. So long as you still have money in your pocket and the stores are still open, you still have time to go out and prep. You still have time to pick up items. Now, the unfortunate thing about this is those who started prepping 2 years ago are a little ahead of you, because the prices 2 years ago are a lot different than the prices today. So that is the disadvantage of beginning prepping now. The prices are higher. And guess what? You begin now, and those that start 6 months from now will end up spending more than you. So start today. Start now. It's not too late. You can start prepping now. And one of the other things that I was going to say in the start, you started, be truthful, and don't take from the household. Like I said, fit it into your budget. Find a way to fit the extras into your budget. Start small, add little by little, and then share the deals that you find with your family. Doesn't have to be like a prepping conversation. It's just you're saving your family money. Share the deals that you find with your family. Get excited about it and share that excitement. And then share how you are learning to save money for your family and how it will help you in the long run. Share that. And then the other thing is for that spouse or partner who is not interested in prepping, start buying things that you know they're interested in. Some of their favorite foods, for example, some of their favorite supplies. If they're into ropes, buy ropes and talk about some of the things that you can do with those ropes. If they're into pocket knives, see if you can find an inexpensive pocket knife that you think your spouse might like. That pocket knife can go into a bug out bag, right? It could be part of a bug out bag. So see if you can think of things that your spouse is interested in and include those in on your list and show them to them. But I believe that these spouses will eventually begin to see the writing on the wall. It doesn't really take a whole lot to see that the shelves at the stores don't look like they did 6 months ago. It doesn't take a whole lot, for us to see the direction that we're going in as far as um, the lack of food, if you will, that are on the shelves, or to see that our supply chain is breaking down. How we get our supplies, the trucking and industry, all of that. The whole thing is just breaking down. You can see it. It's in the news all of the time. Okay, Lee Ballman has a question. Miss Mary, I have a question. I ordered 6 cases of ball mason jars and FedEx guy dropped 2 cases. Some shattered, so there are shards of glass. Are the unbroken ones safe? Be very careful when you take them out. If there are unbroken ones in there, take them out, examine them, make sure there are no cracks, chips, or anything like that in them, and wash them real good and look at them again. If you don't have any chips or any cracks or anything like that, they should be fine. If you want to test them out, fill them up with water. Fill them up with water and put them in a canner and can them for 60 seconds or what, not 60 seconds, 60 minutes or so, but can the water. The good thing is, if you want to keep the water after it's canned, you can put that on the shelves and you have water for another time. But if you want to use those for other things, you can put that water, store that water in something else, and you can use those jars again. But that's one way you can test those jars. But they should be fine. Those that didn't break, they should be fine. Yes, Mary. See, we have to meet them where they're at. What appeals to them? That's where I'm going with this. Old McMoney's farmstead. That is where I'm going with it, because if you know, they always say that if you can interest someone, if you can talk about them, if you can, encourage them by things that they like, and talking about things that they are interested in, you've got their interest. You have their interest, and they'll participate. So I would say that if you could get your spouse things that they're interested in or things that they really like, I think that that will help the discussion in the long run of prepping. Even if they're not interested in prepping, you will see that they will start prepping in in a way that they don't even realize they're prepping. Because I could get my husband to go to the store with me. He just didn't realize what he was doing, but he was going to the store and he was prepping. He just didn't realize it. I didn't call it. I didn't call it by name. We would go and we'd get an extra this or extra that. I didn't call it by name, prepping. So he wasn't aware that that's what we were doing. And I always, tried to turn things around so that it included him and his interests as well. Yes. Grammy has given information on the canning jars, Edley. Make sure you rub your fingers along the rim to make sure that there aren't any nicks. So yeah, you don't want any nicks, any cracks, or anything like that in the jar. Make sure that the jar is as it would have been when it came from the manufacturers. No chips or anything like that. Okay, now this is a question for you Bible scholars that are out there. Okay, this is a question for you Bible scholars. Now listen up. Jacqueline Fortier has a question. What's going to happen when the animals run out of food? Are they coming after us? Now, there is a scripture. I don't know what it is. That's why I'm calling on the Bible scholars out there. And there is a scripture that actually says that during these last days, that animals will begin to attack um, that really didn't do it so much before. So right now, I think that the Heavenly Father has given these animals a good respect of human beings. If you startle them, if you know, evade their space, they will attack. They'll do that now, today. But if there's a way that they can avoid you, most of the time they do, and they will, right? But there is it okay? Sue A, it's in Revelation 6. Thank you, sweetheart. I knew you guys knew what I was talking about. But there is a scripture that talks about that, and it says that they will come after us, and people will be killed by these animals. Okay, and I think what is going to happen is the Most High will remove His hand, which I think that a little bit of that is going on now. He will remove His hand, and the animals will not have that respectful fear of human beings any longer. Okay, we will become um, they will be predators to us. And I think that that will happen eventually. Strawberry Field says, yes, the Bible says those who fall to the beast of the field, to them they go. Hmm. Leslie Trotter, hi, Miss Mary. I live in an apartment along with my sister and brother in law. They don't believe in prepping like I do. How can you prep in an apartment? Um, you know what? You find any space available in your area. If they're not interested in it in your area, that you can put a can of this or a can of that or a bag of this or a bag of that, and um, move clothes out of the way, move shoes out of the way. If you have to put it underneath your bed, put it underneath your bed. If you have a bookcase, move some of your books out of the way, put it on the bookcase. Um, you can get little containers that you can stack up against the wall. Put them in containers. Stack them to the roof is what you hear people say all the time. Stack as many in the room as you can. Um, A little goes a long way again. Will it save the entire family? Maybe not. But a little is better than nothing at all. Nicole Fox says yes, because when the veil is lifted, they will lose their sense of fear of people, and that is correct. And you know what? We've been talking about well, a couple of times, a couple of my videos, I talked about um, like yesterday, I spoke about the babies. Well, the babies that got killed, but we know that our Father has them. We know that He has those babies, but the ones that are doing the killing. Yeah, and I don't know if you guys have been seeing the news lately. They are going. The devil is sincerely busy because there are so many killings going on. So much craziness is going on right now. I mean, mothers. Again, I know I said this a few months back, but it's mind-boggling how many mothers are harming, killing their babies. Mind-boggling. And how many you young people that are trying to date and everything, how many of these young men are killing these young women? It is just unreal, the numbers of killings. They call a few of them have been called murder suicides. Well, take yourself out, leave the other people out of the picture. I don't really want you to take yourself out either, but still, you know what I'm saying? So it just I'm just blown away. And I know we shouldn't be, because we know these things are going to happen. But it just seems like every time I turn around, I'm looking at one case after another case after another case of just the devil being busy. And that just takes me to the point where you were talking about the veil being lifted, and all evil is having its way. And those that are not under the shadow of our Heavenly Father, under His wings, those that don't have a cover, they're open to any demonic presence that's out there. They're open and available and are being used. Not to mention that those that are in power are as evil as they come. And I would not put it past them that these people that are doing the shootings these days are part of some kind of a sleeper cell. I said it before. I'm going to say it again. I hope I don't get in trouble for saying that, but I do. Are they being triggered by a cold word or something? But there's so much crazy that is going on. We know that Satan is busy. You can see it. They're not even trying to hide a lot of it anymore. I'm watching a couple of videos. They have people on camera attempting to kidnap children. They have them on camera. And thank goodness the ones that I saw that were in those videos were able to get away. But how many of them are not? The devil is busy. The devil is very busy. And we don't know what was in the solution for the virus, okay? And we don't know the effects, long-term effects, because unfortunately, we were not really given the truth, were we, on that subject? And that was a taboo topic to discuss, which was a shame. So people, we kind of skirted around it. You see a lot of people doing videos and they call it under another name. And to me, if you're being open and truthful about the whole thing, you wouldn't be shutting people's conversations down for discussing this thing, if you will. But that's what they were doing. So they weren't being honest with us. So we really don't know a whole lot about it. But now there are certain things that we did hear about it. One of the things that I heard about it in the name of something that's in it or supposed to be in it. And I don't want to pass false information. But when you looked it up, I looked it up. The, there's something in the solution. It wasn't a solution, but that's what I'm calling it, was said to have the name of Lucifer in it, in the mix. And if you know what I'm talking about, you can put it in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. Who does that? Who makes something that's supposed to be good for us and puts the name Lucifer in it? Who does that? How are we supposed to be happy with that? Those of us who are believers. I don't want anything to do with that. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. Thank you. Strawberry Fields. Luciferius is the name. Luciferius. Yes. Who does that? And we're not supposed to recognize that. What they forget is, see, we're woke, right, family? We are woke. We're not falling for a lot of that crazy stuff that we fell for way back when. It's not happening anymore. Okay? So, and then, I put uh, they are so devious. I put a post in the comment community on the community page. I don't know if you guys had an opportunity to see it. Sometimes, when we put things up as creators, it doesn't get shared around to everyone who's subscribe to us for some reason. If you find that you're not getting like notifications of the from the channel, what I've been told is that you can unsubscribe and then go back and resubscribe, and then it may start back up again. So for those of you that are not getting it, but in the on the community page, I posted um, a couple of articles that talk about the not so much information on the monkeypox, and maybe I shouldn't have said that word, but anyways, it's about, and here's something that this is what the community post was about. I happened to see them talking about this virus, right? And I kept seeing images of it over and over again. And every time I saw an image, it was an image of someone who looked like me, dark skinned people, Negroes or Black people, whatever you want to call it. But they were dark skinned people. And I kept looking at it and saying, what the heck what's this? Is this supposed to be like a Black thing? Is this supposed to be, only something that folks that look like me get? Every picture that came across that was associated with this name and this virus were of people who look like me. So I'm like, in my head, one of the first thoughts that came to my head was, what's behind this? What was the thought process when they were putting this together? These uh, news reports. What was the thought process? And you know me, I looked at it and said, this is just pure racist. It's pure racism. It's bigotry. That's what it is. And I didn't know if anybody else had picked up on it. It was just an internal thought of mine, because I kept seeing it. Yet they were talking about the virus showing up over in Europe. And then of course it came here to America. And the ones that came down with it didn't look like me for the most part. So that made me question it even more. If that's the case, why are we seeing these dark skinned folks with being associated with it, or being the poster people for this virus, the face of this virus? Why would they do that? And again, like I said, I thought I was the only one that saw that, and the only one that was, thinking that way. But it's the rhetoric of the way that the powers that be run things. This is to further the divide. That's what that is. That's to they have a narrative that they want people, all people, to think and believe. And they have a narrative that they want people to think and believe about different people. And they want people to associate that virus to people who look like me. That's the whole narrative behind what they're doing. They never do things without a purpose, and that's the purpose behind this. It's bigotry. It's pure racism, and I'm so happy. You'll see it in the articles. I'm so happy that people are calling them out. I didn't realize it until afterwards, but I saw that there are some folks on TikTok that got on there and they addressed it, and they were like, "Why did you do it this way?" You know, and I did see something, I believe, that said that the reporters, but if you look at all of the mainstream networks, MSNBC, CNN, all of them, when they spoke about it and reported it, the images that they showed were all people who look like me. What's wrong with this picture? Why didn't they use the people that were in their country that came down with this? They went out and found some old images of folks that looked like me that had nothing to do with the current outbreak of monkeypox, had nothing to do with it, and decided to display it and say, and give it a face, and that's the face that they decided to give. Shame on them. Shame, shame, shame on them. Good Vibes says, Mary, sadly, when they do that, Yah covers the ones who it was intended to harm, and it harms the ones who think they are free because it causes them to keep their guards down. You know what? You may have a point there. You may have a point there. But we have to be, as a family, regardless of what your race is, we as a family, if we're going to survive this and not be divided, we have to recognize their ploys and their plans. And this is a plan used to further divide, again, to give an image of, or a viewpoint of, a group of people in a negative way, so that other people will look in at them and associate this negative thing with it. And so we have to be smart enough to recognize what they're up to. We have to be smart enough to recognize it and speak against it. Bring it up, highlight it, and speak against it. I'm not for using any people like that. I'm not for it. Just stop. If you have to use something, use the virus itself. Get a picture of the virus. Don't use people. I don't appreciate you using people that look like me. I don't appreciate it. And so that was something else that I don't know how I got off on that subject, because I know it didn't really, something somebody said must have brought it up, because I felt I needed to talk about it. So anyhow, are there any out there right now that feel that I missed anything or should discuss anything more on what to do when your spouse is not interested in prepping? Do you guys feel that we covered some pretty good ideas, viewpoints, or tips? Are there any other questions? Terry Ann, I remember that when that happened, and it was not something that was appreciated when it did happen. I'm not going to mention names because it seems to trigger a lot of people. You guys are well aware I am not political. I am not at all. It doesn't matter what to me. My opinion is this. Doesn't matter to me whose name is on that list after the term president. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They are all, the same. They're all the same. Okay, to me, my vote will go to the Most High every time, anytime and every time. My vote will go to the Most High because His word says He will put someone in office and He'll take them out. And I love what our soon coming King, the Messiah, had to say. When was Pontius Pilate said, said to him, now, I'm paraphrasing, I do that a lot. But when Pontius Pilate said to him, when he didn't speak to him or answer him, he says, are you aware that I can have you killed or something like that, right? And our brother, hallelujah, don't get me going. Hallelujah. Our brother, the soon coming King, our Messiah, he said to him, you cannot do anything more than my Father allows you to do. Hallelujah. You can't, in other words, you don't have that kind of power. My Father in heaven, He's the one that has the power. You don't have that kind of power. And I was like, you know what? If you ever want to look for someone as an example, the Messiah, our soon coming King, he deserves that title. He deserves it. He's the only one that deserves it. He deserves that title. He was one bad mama jama. I loved him. I love him. I loved him back then, but I love him today. But what he did and how he spoke to those people, I would have loved another moment of pure joy. I would have loved to have been in that temple when he went in there with those money changers. I would have loved to have seen that. I'm telling you. The Messiah, he was not one to play with. He was not one to play with, and we need to be like that. We need to follow his example. When we start seeing stuff that we recognize, and what gets me is that these folks are so doggone arrogant, and they're so. I'm just going to stick with arrogant, but they're so arrogant they don't believe or they don't understand that we can see behind their lies. We can see their devilishness. Is that a word? We can see their devilment. We can see what they're up to. They're so arrogant that they don't understand that. You know what? Another thing about that is this. Anyone can be a bigot. Not everyone can be a racist. I hope you get that. Anyone can be a bigot. Anyone can have, what's the word? Preferences. Okay? Anyone can have preferences and be against, for this and against that. Anyone can do that. But when it comes to racism, not anyone can be a racist because in racism, you have to have the power behind it. See, the power behind being able to give someone a loan for a home, the power behind being able to give someone a loan or to allow someone to apply for a loan, not give them because it's not their money and but they're behind the desk, okay? But to be able to allow someone to apply and to receive a loan for a car. When you have power that can deny someone because of the color of their skin, okay? That's racism. And people who look like me don't sit in those seats. For the most part, we don't sit in those seats. So not everyone can be a racist. And I want to talk to, like with my husband, one of these days, I'm going to get him to come on and talk with me on this subject. So it's not just a black face that you're hearing saying these things, because my husband is so woke. We've been together for many years and he has seen so much. He has seen as much racism as I have almost. Now, I've been living it a lot longer than he has. And believe you me, he didn't realize how bad it was until he got with me, but he witnessed it and he wasn't, he's not amused. I'm just going to just point it out to you. He's not amused. He sees it for exactly what it is. Many times he can come to me and say, babe, I saw such and such and such, and he calls it out. So, he is well aware of how things go, and he is on the other side, if you will. He's white. Many of you that are listening to me today are also white. You recognize it for what it is as well, and you're sick and tired of it too. And I'm grateful that you are part of my family. I'm grateful. You're sick and tired of it too. And you can see it for what it is. One of the other family members wrote in a comment yesterday, and she is, she's one of our white sisters, and she has mixed children. Her little children are her sons. They're I say children. I call everybody children, but her children are grown, but they're still her children. And she wrote in to acknowledge that she has witnessed it. She witnessed the racism all the time. Folks, you know what? I know that a lot of people don't want to talk about it, but it's real. It's happening. It's happening today. It's happening. It's real. Okay? And here's the thing. Here's the thing about it. Most racists are so arrogant that they think that we people who are being discriminated against are too stupid to recognize it when it happens. Well, I'm here to tell you that we see it clearly. We can spot a racist a mile away. We may not say anything, we may not do anything, but we can spot a racist a mile away. We're not stupid, we're not crazy. We just know how to play the game, and we also know sometimes it's better for us to keep our mouths shut, especially if it's not going to gain us what we need. I hope you hear me. So I'm not one to want to divide our family, because I understand that in this family, this Mary C family, this is me, Mary C family, I have all people from all nations that come to this channel that are our family. We don't discriminate here. You know who we discriminate against? Satan. So if you're one of his minions or one of his children, we'll discriminate against you because you're not part of our family. You're anti. You're opposite. That's who we discriminate against. We don't discriminate against someone just merely because of the color of their skin, because our Father doesn't do that. He said that we are to love him and love our neighbors. Right? So that's who we discriminate against. We discriminate against Satan, Satan and his minions. So if you're on this channel and you are white, if you are Native American, if you are Hispanic, Mexican, Spaniard, or Puerto Rican, I'm going down the list. I know I'm not going to mention them all. If you are Chinese or Japanese or Filipino, or if you are whatever you are, I don't care if you're an Arab. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. So long as you are loving, so long as you don't discriminate, so long as you follow the commandments of our Father, that you love him, you read his word, you love your neighbors as you love yourself. You're looking forward to going to Zion and meeting your brothers who are from every nation. You are my brothers and you are my sisters, and I love you. I do. It's as simple as that. It's not hard to love folks. It's not. It's not that hard. Old McMoney's Farmstead says, my husband and I are in the same boat as you, Mary C., but it took my husband many years to see it because he didn't want to see it. But now has seen, he can't unsee it. That's right. You know what? My husband says that to me all of the time. He, I'm gonna tell you a little secret. He might not want me to say this, but I'm gonna tell you a little secret about him. He gives up easily when it comes to educating those that just don't know any better. Okay, he gives up easily. He just says, I'm done. His patience is not there. He says, I'm done. Okay. Whereas I will go, I'll go a little bit further. I'll go a little bit further. But he says it all the time about people who look like him. He talks about white people all the time. And because, he says he can because he's white. But he says this. He says that if they don't see it, the racism, if they don't see their behavior, it's because they don't want to see it. He says that all the time. So when you said that, that's what it made me think of, because he says that all of the time. And we joke between the two of us when something goes down, and it's somebody that does something that's bad, and it's a black person. He says one of your cousins did something they shouldn't have done, right? So we call them cousins. So when somebody white does something they shouldn't have done, I say, okay, it's one of your cousins that did this, that, and the other that they shouldn't have done. So we've both done ancestry tests, okay, where you do your DNA test or what have you. And so he's looked at his. We have looked at his. Well, his is pretty European. It's pretty European. Well, we got a chance to look at mine. What do you know? Mine is got a little bit of European in it as well. So he's gotten to the point where he says to me now, well, when somebody white does something that he doesn't want to claim, he puts them off on me, and he says, well, Mary, that's your part of the family. And I'm like, no, I'm not taking that. I only got a little bit of European blood in me, just a little bit. I'm not taking that. No, you can take that one on. So we kind of joke between each other about the things that people do. Now, you have to understand this. Now, we do it because, we can, and it's lovingly done. But you have to understand this. There's good and bad in everyone, in every nation. There's good and bad in every nation. There is. And if you don't understand that, if you don't know that, I'm sorry for you. Because there's good and bad in everyone. So anyhow, I have been on here so long. I didn't expect to be on here this long. Getting back to the chat, what am I missing? Yes, Mira, yeah. Shalom, sweetheart. She says, family, stay prayed up and keep loving each other. Much love, family. And I have to go deal with the animals. Okay, you go deal with the animals. Love conquers all, Grandma says. Shalom, Esmeralda, sweetie, Martinez. Jacqueline Ford here. My husband is Hispanic and I'm brown. He's from Panama. Shalom, that's good, good. I love my brothers and sisters. Thank you, Leslie Working Team. Yes. I am awake, says Miss Mary. When we all get to heaven, look for me. I would love to meet you. I would love to meet all of you guys too. Under the oaks. Shalom, sweetheart. Shalom. Lettuce, darling. Oh, I'm so sorry, sweetheart. Lettuce, darling. Family, extend an extra prayer for. We have one of our family members has a son who is ill. His name is Brandon. I want you all to extend your prayers to cover him as well. Okay. But I want you also to pray for our sister here, Letta. Starling just lost her mom. Pray for her. Well, God bless her that her mom was a believer all of her life and a beautiful person. I extend my deepest condolences to you, Letta, and I will keep you lifted up in prayer, my darling. I will. And that family, the rest of you do the same thing. Living Tree says, hello, praying for us all. Yes. Keep the prayers going, Father. The family. Keep the prayers going. And I'm saying that because of this. One of the things that's in my daily prayer is that the Father would send his angels to cover all of us, and that he would let no evil come nigh any of us or our dwelling places or our working places or any of the places that we frequent, like the grocery store or the laundromat or wherever you may be. That is in my daily prayer for all of you. So I don't want to hear that you went to the grocery store and somebody was shooting and you were in the vicinity of that. I pray for coverage for you every day, that no matter where you are, that you have that coverage. So, family, keep all of us in your prayers. All of us. Pray, pray, and don't give up on praying. Just pray. Okay? So I hope that this was helpful to you guys in with tips on what to do if your spouse is not interested in prepping. I hope that this was something that was helpful. Um, if you guys got something from this video, please put a number 7 in the chat so that I know that I'm doing a little something to help out, just a little bit, right? So if this is helpful, I'd like to see a bunch of 7s in the chat. Thank you, Strawberry Fields and Sharika. Thank you, thank you, thank you, London Girl and Jordan. I'm awake. Eliza Gal, Eve, D'Amica, Esmeralda, Laura. Thank you so much. I really appreciate each and every one of you again. May the Most High just bless you in all ways. May he just shine a light on you, and may you be a light to the world, just as our example, our soon coming King. I hope you got a kick out of that. I really, the man, I'm telling you, he deserves the title of the king, because he was boss. He was boss while he was here on earth. I can just imagine how he's going to be when we get together. Hallelujah. I can just imagine. I can just imagine. So anyways, I am going to say, at this point what I always do. I love you guys so very much. Thank you for spending so much time with me. I really appreciate everything that you do for me in this channel and for the family. Just continue to pray. But again, as I say, I love you. Know this. The Heavenly Father, he loves you so very much more. He doesn't want to lose not one of you. If you don't know him, get to know him. Have a relationship with him. Get on the ark. Get on the ark. And I want to extend a special thank you to Ola, to Eve New Beginning, to Grammy Yah, to Under the Oaks. These are all of the all of the young ladies who come out as moderators to help this channel out. Bless you, bless you, bless you, and thank you so very much. I love you all. I love you all. So on that note, Shalom, family. Have a good rest of your day or night, whichever it would be. Shalom.